Dweller is dead. Long live bathing. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily and I admire your ability to set boundaries and take care of yourself. I'd love your hints for doing that in the comments, please. Old Blood Noise Endeavors sent me this pedal, but I hesitate to call this a sponsored video because, well, they didn't ask me to make it. I've been playing it a lot and I really wanted to show off how I've been using it. It wasn't too long ago that they announced the retirement of their Dweller phase repeater. And now, like a phoenix from the ashes, Bathing has arrived to fill that sonic void with a host of new features and sounds. But unlike their other similarly formatted pedals, Bathing is not a straight up new version of Dweller. I mean, it's not called Dweller 2.0. Obviously, the name is different, but where Dweller was referred to as a quote phase repeater, Bathing is a quote liminal delay. Liminal really such a great word. Roughly defined, it's a transitional phase or place between two destinations. Bathing is a lot of things, and like many of Old Blood Noise's pedals, is wildly vast. But by that, I mean it wouldn't do either of us any good if I tried to show off every possible sound. Instead, I'm going to show you a few of my personal favorite settings within Bathing and some things I just thought were kind of fun and are who knows how useful they are. First, I do need to talk about the controls. However, their own manual says the controls can be helpful but aren't necessary. Something along the lines of that you should feel free to turn knobs until you like a sound and then save it as a preset. And that's all well and good, but we should still talk about the controls. I will try to make this quick, but you can use the timestamps in the video description, which I think is down there, to skip around. It won't hurt my feelings, I promise. I'm going to start with the clear knobs right here. The top clear knob is the volume of the dry signal, the middle is the volume of the wet signal, so you can always have a bit of that clean sound, or you can turn the dry off completely for a 100% wet signal, with one exception which I'll talk about later. That last knob, dimension, adds a bit of modulation to the wet signal. In mono, apparently it sounds like a vibrato, but I'm filming this demo in stereo, so it ought to sound more like a chorus. In fact, I've not even tried playing this pedal in mono. I've gone straight to stereo and I don't regret it at all. Heading over to the top row of the normal sized knobs, time is the time of the delay. It can go from literally imperceptibly short to decently long. You can also tap in a tempo, and you can change the time knob so that it is subdivisions of your tap tempo. I never use subdivisions, so I'm not going to get into that. I'm sure Mark Johnson will, and I have a sneaking suspicion that he also is going to get one of these. Next, we have stages, which sets the number of all past stages that the delay runs through from 2 to 12. At short time settings, it can increase the intensity of the phase/flange effect. At longer time settings, it creates more repeats. It's pretty cool. Feedback is the number of repeats. Simple. Also simple is filter. Darker sounds to the left, brighter to the right. Down here, we have rate, depth, and shape. Those all relate to the LFO in Bathing, which affects the character of the repeats. Rate all the way down is off. All the way up, it sounds like a ring mod. Depth goes from 0% to 100%. The manual says that at higher settings, you'll have a significant amount of dry sound added here, even if you turn the dry knob all the way down. You can check out the manual for more details on that. Shape of the LFO options are from left to right, sine, triangle, square, ramp up, ramp down, random, envelope up, and envelope down. I do wish those clicked into place, but you should be able to hear the differences between them well enough just with your ear. I haven't messed with the expression, but it's my understanding that you can map any of the controls to expression. That's with a TRS cable. There's also stereo ins and outs via TRS. One thing you should know, if you plug this in and you aren't getting the sounds you expected, especially if you're going mono in, stereo out, make sure you're using the correct I/O settings. I have this set to mono in, stereo out, but you can also have stereo in, stereo out, and mono in, mono out. Again, consult the manual for how to do that. It's very easy. There are 3 onboard presets. 1, 2, 3. Kind of 4 if you treat manual mode like a preset, but I don't think people do that very often. Whatever. There's also MIDI, and I swear to God, every new Old Blood Noise pedal makes me actually want to learn how to use MIDI. Do you think that Andy would help walk me through setting up MIDI? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's get down to it. I'm running this to via the Old Blood Noise split meld, which you can kind of see in the corner if I go full screen. That is splitting my TRS signal into dual TS signals. That's going into my interface, hard, panned left and right. I'm using the Benson Chimera plugin from Mixwave, which is a personal favorite of mine. Guitar is one you probably haven't seen. It's an Ibanez Talman. I think it's a TC825. I got this in Victoria, BC last year. Shout out to the fine folks at Guitars Plus. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is not really like one of the settings I'm going to show you. It's kind of just a funny one. You can use this as a boost. The dry signal actually gets a little bit louder, at least a little bit louder than unity gain. So I just think it's kind of funny. A little bit louder. So I'm going to uncrank that and get into my actual first setting. I'm going to start super simple. We're going to turn down everything except for the wet signal, which is at noon, and the filter, which is about 330. So it's going to be a bit of a high pass sound, and it's fun. Unless you're using a MIDI controller or just really, really like the way that sounds, I don't think that this is what Old Blood Noise had in mind when they made Bathing, but I don't know, I wasn't in the room. I'm sure you're wondering what happens when I really crank the feedback and keep the filter where it is. I'm so glad you asked. If you can put the filter in the right spot, and you'll want to play that by ear, probably just south of 3 o'clock, it sounds like a cocked wah to me, which I love. I mean, that can help you cut through a mix during a solo or something. So I do see that being helpful. I just think it's really funny that I can do that with something that's made to be a delay pedal. I could, and I have spent hours without even touching time, rate, depth, shape, or stages, but we need to move on. You can also make this a chorus in kind of the same vein. The time gets fast enough for you to do that. I want to set the time to about like 9, feedback above noon, filter in the middle, equal amounts of wet and dry. Calling it a chorus might be a little bit much. It definitely sweetens the tone a lot. You can increase stages to maybe make it a little bit, more noticeable. Or if you want to be simpler, you can turn up the dimension knob. After all, the point of the dimension knob is to essentially add a chorus. We already talked about that. That's a chorus, and again, it works in a pinch. Okay, so we've already heard Bathing as a filter, as like a cocked wah, as a chorus / flanger. But let's get into making this an actual delay pedal. After all, that's what it's supposed to be. I'd be remiss to not remind you that there are links in the video description to pick up your own Bathing pedal. I'll also have affiliate links to places like Sweetwater and Zounds for anything else your musical heart may desire. Using those links doesn't cost you any extra money, but a small portion of each sale is shared with me. Using those links is a great way to support this channel, doing things that, let's be honest with ourselves and each other, we were probably going to do anyway. But yes, the delay part. First, we'll try a darkish slapback sound. With the time above 9, you can actually hear the repeats as repeats. At first, it's really mostly a doubling sound, but first, I'm going to turn down the dimension knob. You can already kind of hear it. It's a doubling sound. I'm going to turn down repeats also because that's part of slapback. It's a little bit fast for my taste. By about 10 o'clock, yeah, it's clearly a slapback. Feedback all the way down is still giving us more than a slapback amount of repeats. But we can soften it by turning the filter to 9 and then turning down the wet signal. Sounds like a slapback to me. Yes, again, I know that nobody is buying this pedal for that sound, but I want to cover the more basic / standard sounds of which this pedal is capable, because personally, I think that justifies buying some of those more out there devices when you know you can still cover those meat and potato sounds. So speaking of meat and potatoes, let's get into the meat of bathing. Wet mix is going to go back to noon, time, feedback, and filter to noon as well, though I do honestly kind of like the filter on the dark side a little bit. It's just a nice, simple ping pong delay. Now I'm going to turn up the depth and roll the phases up. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just want you to vaguely hear how it affects things. You can already hear a bit of a syncopation vibe going on. Starting to get a little weird. By the time we get toward the end of those stages, it's nice and stuttery. So do you want to hear what happens when you max out the depth and keep the rate at a minimum? That's what it does. I won't use that, but you might. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Those are great and free ways to support the channel. If you'd like to financially support Get Offset for any reason, you can drop a tip via the Say Thanks button below this video. You can also join the official Get Offset Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to the exclusive Get Offset Discord server. And at $10, you get exclusive merch. Okay, here's a setting that I think y'all have actually been waiting for, and I like it a lot. I think it's really tremolo-y and fun. So we're gonna put time at 3, stage at noon, feedback north of noon, filter at noon, rate at 1 or 2, depth almost cranked. And let's do the ramp up shape, even though I'm a big fan of the envelope up shape here too. Oh, and dimension to noon. This next one is a very washy setting that I think is a great starting point if you want something sweet, haunting, and ambient. I'm going to drop the time to noon. Dry is going to be just a little bit above wet. Rate's going to 2 o'clock, as is depth, and feedback for that matter. I'm going to keep the shape at the first setting, which is sine wave. Filter is going down to 9, so a nice hefty low pass filter. I'll also start with the stages at 9 o'clock. And let's keep the dimension up. can hear how it's a little bit jittery, and you can make it even more jittery if you change the shape to random. By the way, this is a great setting to really hear the different waveform shapes, but I'm going to go back to sine and set the stages where I really like them in this context, 3 o'clock, which will mellow it out a little bit. I feel like this makes the repeats muted in a really good way. It kind of blurs them a little bit. I know there's no noise in outer space, but it gives me kind of outer space vibes, or like maybe underwater. Let me increase the feedback to 3 as well. Yeah, maybe bubbly would be a decent descriptor. One last thing, this is kind of a funny one too. I'm going to once again drop the dry signal, dimension, and time. Rate, depth, filter, feedback are all going to 3. As is shape, but that's because we want the envelope up mode. I'll put stage around noonish. It's an envelope phaser. You can add more stages to make it more intense. Or remove them to make it less intense. Or just different. It's fun however you set it. You can obviously select other waveforms and adjust the rate and depth to taste for a fixed LFO phaser, which is also pretty cool. If you liked this video, check out the one on the screen where I demo the new Old Blood Noise Endeavor's Black Fountain. Please like, comment, subscribe, drop a tip via the Say Thanks button below if you feel so inclined, and please check out the Patreon link in the video description. Thanks for watching, thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.